Alistair Overeem still a threat at the age of 40. Knuckleheads, welcome to the FightersRep, where we give you free fights, interviews in the fight game, and fight commentary from the mind of a promoter. Knuckleheads, Alistair Overeem getting it done at the age of 40 over a 29-year-old Augusto Sakai, stunting on the young buck, getting him out of there in the fifth round. I mean, everything about this fight reeks of a guy who at the age of 40 years old, with 66 MMA fights under his belt and countless other kickboxing fights, just defies the laws of physics and gravity and aging and everything else. I mean, he's still getting it done at a high level. Now, I think, after having pondered it for a while, I think there are a few things that contribute, a few interesting things that contribute to Alistair Overeem's continued success, despite the fact that he's 40 years old and he's got a ton of mileage on the old odometer. I think the first thing we have to look at is the UFC's heavyweight division. It still isn't the best, and I've been telling people for a while now, especially here in the region, keep building these heavyweights, man, because that division is still kind of wide open. Stipe's getting older. DC's out the game. And the competition just isn't that thick there. I mean, the fighters aren't fantastic there, right? You've got an Ngannou there who's an absolute monster, but his grappling is deficient. Again, Stipe's about to come out the game, I think, at 38 years of age. Maybe John Jones moving up can do a little something. You've got Curtis Blades, but not a real murderer's row like you have at lightweight or some of these other weights. So definitely we need to develop these heavyweights. But, what is it that's making Overeem such a success? Well, besides the fact that the heavyweight division is sort of thin, you've also got the fact that guys at heavyweight don't have to cut weight. And I think the heavyweight division, not just in the UFC, but in boxing, is an argument. It's an argument against weight cutting. It's an argument to the longevity of somebody's career, right? If they're not cutting too much weight. Because obviously heavyweights don't really have to worry about cutting weight unless, in some cases they're about to break into the super heavyweight limit over 265 pounds, I believe it is. But typically these guys don't have to worry about cutting weight. And, we have seen some studies that discuss the way cutting weight sort of compromises you physiologically, psychologically, biologically, and perhaps the heavyweight division is a great example of that. Perhaps it'll help us kind of steer towards a fight culture without so much severe weight cutting, because, hey, these guys are still performing at the highest level. As I mentioned, Stipe Miocic, 38 years old. We had Daniel Cormier that just fought him in a knockdown, drag-out fight, 41 years old. I mean, these guys are still performing at a high level, so I think it's a combination of things. You've got a thin heavyweight roster. You've got guys that don't need to cut weight, right? Also, at the heaviest weight, I mean, speed is important, but it's not as important, I believe, as the other divisions, because as long as you got decent timing and you got some big power, I mean, people are so cautious of getting hit by a heavyweight, they know you have to fight apprehensively. Again, one shot in this division can finish the night, can end your night. Now, that's not to say that if one good shot lands in any division that your fight's not over, but when you're talking about guys over 205 pounds in the case of MMA and over 200 pounds in the case of boxing, it's especially scary to get hit clean by one of these guys, and again, your night's over. So I mean, I think those are some of the things that are lending to the longevity of guys in the heavyweight division, guys like Alistair Overeem, right? Who again beat up a 29-year-old. And listen, we got to give him credit, He not only beat up that 29-year-old, he was sort of losing in the stand-up and adapted and figured out, hey, I got to take this guy down. And once he saw that opening, once he saw the opening that Sakai was kind of helpless with the takedowns, Overeem just started taking him down over and over again. And then you had the finish in the 5th round. You know, when you think the guy would be at his most tired, he got Sakai out of there in the 5th round. Man, Alistair Overeem is a legend. He's a legend. And, you know, he's showing that it could still be done later on in life. But I do think we need more studies on the effects biologically of cutting weight. I think we need more studies with that, and I think we need to do comparative studies between the other weight divisions and the heavyweights and see how compromised these guys are when they step back into the cage. But you know, Alistair Overeem, you guys, is now 40 years old. He's won 4 out of his last 5. It's arguable that he lost that Jairzinho Rosenstrike fight. I mean, a lot of people think, what I mean by arguable is a lot of people think that it was stopped poorly, sort of, with kind of in the waning seconds of the fight, and because of the cut on his lip, especially considering the fact that Overeem was basically winning the entirety of that fight. So, I mean, he's still a top-level heavyweight at the age of 40, going on 41. I think it's because, obviously, he's got a lot of experience, but his body hasn't taken as much of a toll maybe as the other guys in the other weight classes because they don't need to cut weight. I also think it's because of the big power and the sort of different strategies that you have to employ in the heavyweight division. That's my take on it. I don't know if Alistair Overeem wins the championship, but he's still impressive to watch. So, Knuckleheads, kind of tell me what you think about Alistair Overeem still being a threat at this age. Tell me what you think about why guys in the heavyweight division are doing so well and lasting so long. And if you haven't already, hit the subscribe button, the bell notification icon next to it. Join Knucklehead Nation and pick up your gear in the links below. Your Fighters Rep shirts, hoodies, masks, whatever. Because if not, you don't know shit about fighting. Appreciate you guys. We'll talk soon.